did. Or it could be read as the good master of the name. It could be the good master of the name, or the master of the good name. The Hebrew is ambivalent enough that you can go with either one.
Master name.
Right. Master name good. Literally, that's what the Hebrew says. So what Hasidism does, the followers of the Baal Shem Tov, what Hasidism does is that it translates the major themes in Kabbalah to the existential level. Hasidism brought Kabbalah to everyday life. It democratized Kabbalah basically to make it a spiritual practice that everybody could do. And what the practice looked like was that those who practiced Hasidism and Kabbalah through Hasidism were seeking the light of the infinite in pathways of the finite realm of life. See what they were trying to do? Through living daily life, they sought to uncover the infinite. Okay? So it was very practical. And at the center of that was joy. Joy was the paramount mantra, if you'd like. The paramount mantra of Hasidism was that you needed to live your life with joy. If you didn't live life with joy, you didn't get it. Because if you got it, there is no way you would be sad. There's no way you would be downtrodden. And if you knew that everything in your life, everything you looked at, everything you lived through was an expression of God, then joy had to be at the center of that. So they didn't force people to be joyous or joyful. But all of their practices were practice of joy, well, not all of them, but a lot of the practices were based on joy. So what the Hasidism done is democratize Kabbalah and make it available to all of the students of the master. It was no longer just reserved to an elite of a few induced people, like those who knew the master, and usually was the teacher and his one or two disciples, and that's how he was passed on. Now it was entire communities were practicing Kabbalah, literally practicing. The Rebbe, so the rabbi of the community, the Rebbe, or the tzaddik, now it was called the tzaddik, the righteous one, right, became the center of those communities. If you go to a Hasidic community today, you will see that. You'll see that everything really revolves around this. It's like the Jewish guru. You know, I was kind of looking for other traditions, but it's really the tzaddik in the Hasidic tradition is the equivalent of the guru in the Buddhist tradition. Everything revolves around it. I remember being at Shabbat in Jerusalem, going in for somehow getting into one of those Hasidic groups, and here was, imagine this hallway with a huge table and literally dozens and dozens of men wearing those black hats and those fur hats and they were on little what do you call this when you go to a stadium and there's like stadium looking things where they were all standing on the tiers, tiers, and they were like 5 or 6 high, and they were all filled with these people in black with their hats and everything. In the middle was this huge table, and at the end of that table was the Rebbe, and around that table were the greatest students of the Rebbe, the elders. And there was a huge table. I mean, there were literally 50 people around that table. And you had all of those youngsters on the stadium-looking thing, all praying in the direction of the Rebbe, and they were all going, like we know them to go, they're going back and forth, singing and praying, and the Rebbe, at some point, I witnessed, was doing the blessing over the challah. He was sitting in his chair, and he was old, and he wasn't moving much. But he was breaking. They brought him the challah, the chalos, the ritual bread of Shabbat, to cut. And they were the guys that were next to me were teaching me that if you go, because you had to go to get the piece of challah from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe looked at you and your eyes crossed his eyes, you were blessed for life.
Yes.